Are you having a Super Bowl party or a family game night and want to make some recipes ahead of time so you don't have to spend the whole time cooking while everyone else is having fun? Well, stick with me. We're going to look at 5 easy make-ahead recipes that you can have ready, crock pot or fridge, and not have to spend the whole day in the kitchen. We're going to look at making pinwheels, chili, cornbread, caramel popcorn, and candied pecans. So the first recipe we're going to work on is a cream cheese ranch dressing mix based pinwheel. So what you need for that are tortilla shells. You can either use the soft taco size or the burrito size. 2 bricks of cream cheese. 1 package of ranch dressing. You can either use the dip or the ranch dressing mix. We're going to need green onions. I'm going to include a can of green chilies. We're going to include sliced black olives. We're also going to include some banana peppers and some pimentos. I opened these containers, drained off a little bit of the liquid, and then I'm going to put them into bowls that have a paper towel because we want to absorb a little bit more of that liquid. We don't want a super wet tortilla shell because that would just get gross. Now you can use any type of these condiment items that you want. I've seen a lot of pinwheels that have ham or cheese in them. You could also do pepperoni pizza wrap. So all I'm going to chop them up to where they're really, really small. So we will just get these into a container. If your company or your family doesn't like black olives, you can of course leave it out. So you could do like jalapeno peppers. So there's just all kind of unlimited number of combinations for what you like. Okay. So I got one more bowl. We're going to chop up our green onions. And I'm going to cut the very tips off because they're a little dry. And then we're going to use probably about 2 where the white part just begins. So we'll do a few at a time. And line them up. So I'm going to take the very ends off. And then going to just cut these into really small pieces. So I got these 2 days ago, and what I did, I put them in a small juice glass with just a little bit of water in the bottom. They will hold better if they have just a tiny bit of water versus putting them in the fridge. I found that they wilt almost immediately in the fridge. So I just set them up in a juice glass with just like a ½ inch of water, just pretty much just so that the roots are covered. You don't want to go all the way up because that'll start rotting them. Alright, so we have all of our toppings ready. And then what we need to do now is to mix our 2 bricks of cream cheese with our package of ranch dressing mix. And I did take the cream cheese out about 2 hours ago to let it soften up a little bit. Otherwise it'll be really difficult to stir it up. So I'm going to make it a little easier, I'm going to spread this around just a little bit so we have more surface to sprinkle the dressing mix on. Sprinkle it all around. Now this does, to taste really good and not be grainy, it does need to sit, which is part of the reason we want to put it back in the fridge for at least an hour. It'll help the cream cheese harden up a little bit, which will make it easier to cut it, but it will also allow time for the powder from the ranch mix to soften up and be. Right, so there we have. Start with one. And what we want to do with the mix is just proportion it out as best as you can so that you can cover all of them. I don't cover them first and then start putting the toppings on. You can kind of guesstimate how much you've got. And one thing that I do, we do have family members who don't like all the toppings. So what we'll do is just, a lot of times, just use the dressing, the cream cheese and the ranch mix. So we'll just, okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put the dressing on, or the cream cheese mixture onto there. And we're going to spread it all around from edge to edge. So I'm just going to start with the green chilies, spread it around, go to the next one, sprinkle it. What you want to do is just spread it around so each bite has a little bit. I'm going mostly from side to side because what I'm going to do is roll it up. So I don't want as much topping out here. I want the cream cheese mixture to stick to the other side of the tortilla. So I'm going to pretty much just keep it right here in the center. This 2/3 section. Okay. And then some green onions. That's just so pretty. Okay. So I'm going to start rolling it up. Turn it around. I'm going to try to tuck the veggies underneath as I'm rolling it so that they don't get squished forward. Just roll it as tight as you can. I always get a little few that pop out. So there you go. So we'll just go on to the next one. For the last two, I'm not going to put all the extra stuff on there. I'm going to put the green onions on there. That way, if there's someone who doesn't like pimentos or banana peppers or olives, they don't have to have that. They have this option of just having the onions and the ranch dressing. So you can make them as dressed up as you want or scale them back. So got it cleaned up a little bit, and what we're going to do now is just push these back into this bag. So you would put them back in the refrigerator for at least an hour. You could even do it overnight. Probably wouldn't want to go any further than that because these will start to get a little soggy. Yep. So we get it closed up, and then we will pop it in the fridge. So next we're going to go ahead and get our chili on. And we're going to wash up a green pepper and an onion and dice them up small. And I'm going to go ahead and take out this white membrane here because it tends to be bitter. So just very carefully, very gently cut that out. We want it chopped. Doesn't have to be tiny, but we want bite-sized pieces. And then we're going to do the same thing with the onion. So what we're going to do next is start our chili. We're going to go ahead and heat a pan up with some oil. I'm using olive oil, just a little bit. And then we're going to put our onions and pepper in there and saute it. Till it gets a little soft. We don't have to cook it all the way down. Just want to get it a little softer. mix it up so it gets coated with the oil. Okay, we've been cooking about 4 minutes or so, so I'm going to go ahead. I have 1 pound of hamburger, lean ground beef. I'm going to go ahead and put that in there, break it up, and let that start cooking as well. Okay, so we've got this nice and browned. We've got some brown bits on the bottom that we're going to pull up when we pour our beans and tomatoes in there. So what I would recommend is using 5 cans of beans. You can buy the 15-ounce cans at the store. I'm going to use some that I actually canned up myself. And if you are using a canning jar, highly recommend this tool. Pops the tops off. Super easy. So we will just start pouring these beans into the hamburger. Now, whichever beans you choose is up to you, but I do find that having a variety of different beans, it adds textural difference, visual difference, and I think it just makes the flavor much more deep and just makes it a really good chili. So we're just going to get those mixed up. And that is going to start pulling up those brown bits from the bottom. Which will add more flavor to our chili. So let that start heating a little bit. This is a very hearty chili. It's actually a recipe that my mom used to make. I missed one. Put this one in there too. So 3 cans of cranberry beans, 1 black bean, and 1 cannellini bean. Start getting those warmed up. I'm going to use some crushed tomatoes that I canned up this past summer from my garden. If you're going to use it from the store, I would use between 2 and 3 cans, the smaller 15-ounce cans, or one of the 28-ounce cans. And my preference is for crushed tomatoes, but you can use puree, but I like the texture of the crushed tomatoes. So pour those in. Stir that up and see where we are, if we need any more. We're going to add 1 more. It's starting to look really good. Now for the secret ingredient, we're going to add 2 packages of this Bloehmer's chili. It's made in Louisville, Kentucky. And I'll include a link below if I can find one, but it is chili powder seasoning that we have used since I was a kid, so a very long time. It is the secret ingredient to the best chili. I've actually won chili contests at 2 different workplaces with us, so I highly, highly recommend it. Let's add 1. And if you like a really spicy chili, you can always add more. Okay. But 5 cans of beans, 1 large can of crushed tomatoes, onion, green pepper, 2 packages of the Bloehmer's chili mix. Makes really, really, really good chili. And as that chili powder mixes in here, it'll become more and more red like traditional chili. So what we'll do with this right now, you can make this the day ahead. Let it cool down from here. I'm going to let it simmer for probably 20 to 30 minutes. Then I'm going to let it cool down all the way. You can put it in the fridge overnight, put it in a crock pot tomorrow, and let it warm up slowly. Just put it on low for a few hours and it'll warm up to temperature to eat. So there's the best chili on the planet. Another thing I would recommend, whenever you're stirring the liquid stuff, use a spatula until you're ready to dip it out of the pot, because this covers the entire bottom. The spoon is usually, tapered at the end. This will clean up the whole bottom. You don't have to work as hard, and it cleans it up better. You don't have as much stuff that sticks. So we will just let that simmer for a while. So the next recipe we're going to work on is a cheesy garlic cornbread drop biscuit. Comes from the cookierookie.com. I'll link the recipe below in the description. We have 3 of the Jiffy Blue Box corn muffin mixes. Have 1 cup of cheddar cheese that I've shredded. Have some garlic powder, some parsley, 1 cup of milk, about 4.5 tablespoons of butter, and some salt. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the corn muffin mix, we're going to add in the cheese, and get all that goodness. And then we need 3/4 of a teaspoon. We need 3/4 of a teaspoon of garlic. I've got a 1/4 teaspoon measuring spoon, so I'm going to do 3 of those. Sprinkle it all over. So it's 3. Okay. And then we are going to mix this up. Okay, once that is thoroughly incorporated, we're going to add the milk and stir just until it's mixed. You don't want to overstir it. Sometimes you get a better feel if you just stick your hand in there. Alright, that feels good. So then we have our cornbread, cheese, and garlic mix. So now we are going to use a cookie scoop. And I'm just going to take drops, just a spoon, and then just drop them on there. So I had a little bit too much batter for just this one tray, so I got a smaller tray out. We have 26 biscuits now. So the 4.5 tablespoons of butter that we melted, we're going to go ahead and use a pastry brush, and we're going to just dab that on top of each of the biscuits. Just about right. All right. So the next thing we want to do is we're going to just sprinkle on parsley and a little bit of salt. So just very little bit on each biscuit. That's pretty. Okay. And then we're going to take just a teeny pinch of salt onto each one. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to make is caramel popcorn with homemade caramel. I've not done this before, so this should be an adventure. To double the recipe, I have already popped about 12 cups of popcorn. And this recipe is coming from delish.com. I'll share that link below. We are going to melt 2 sticks of butter. Once that is a medium-high heat, once that is melted, we're going to add 2 cups of brown sugar and 1/2 cup of corn syrup, light corn syrup. So the butter is melted. We're going to add 2 cups of sugar, or brown sugar. We're going to stir it constantly so it does not stick. And we're going to add 1/2 a cup of corn syrup. So we will bring this to a boil and then we'll turn the heat down and simmer it for 5 minutes. Okay, so we are boiling, so I'm going to turn this down to low and we're going to simmer it for 5 minutes and I'm going to set the oven to 250 degrees. And we'll be back here in a minute. Okay, so we are just about to 5 minutes. Once the timer, about 28 seconds left, we're going to dump in 2 teaspoons of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And then we're going to do 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and we're going to use a whisk for that. To this, we got salt, baking powder. Whisk that in really quick. And 2 tablespoons, generous teaspoons of vanilla. And then we are going to take and put the caramel all over the popcorn. Get all the goodness out. All right. And we will get that all mixed up. Okay. Looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is put this, spread it out on a cookie sheet. I probably will need more than one. So put about 1/2 of it on here. Spread it out. We're going to put it in the 250 degree oven for about an hour. We're going to stir it every 15 minutes. The final recipe we're going to do is one I got from a coworker many, many years ago. We're going to do sugar fried pecans. It's very delicious. In the pot I have 6 cups of warm water. I'm going to heat this up to a boil. Once it's boiling, I'm going to add 4 cups of pecans. I'm going to bring that back up to a boil and boil it for 1 minute. So we are up to a boil. So I'm going to take my 4 cups of pecans. I'm going to dump them in. Stir them up. And then we want to bring it back up to a boil. And we're going to boil for 1 minute. Okay, we are just, there it is. So we are going to do a timer for 1 minute. So we boiled for 1 minute. We're going to go ahead and carefully drain this. I'm going to go ahead and rinse this pan too because we're going to use this again. Mix them up. And then the next step is to mix them with 1/2 cup of sugar. Working with a little bit smaller bowl, so I'm going to go ahead and do 1/2. And then put the other 1/2 on top of it. Finish the sugar. Get another spatula. And then just gently turn them to mix it all up. Then we are going to let this sit for 5 minutes to dissolve all of the sugar. It's been about 5 minutes. The oil is hot. So that starts sizzling when you put them in there. So we're going to do 2 batches. And then we are going to fry them for about 5 minutes. And what we're looking for is a fairly dark color. We don't want them to burn, but we want to make sure that they are really nicely browned. And then what I'm going to do when they're finished, I'm going to take them back over to the sink. I have the strainer inside the pot that we used to make the caramel. So I want these to drain the oil off a little bit before I put more sugar on them. But I want So I don't want it to go down the drain or anything. So I'm going to let the runoff from these that are cooking right now run through the strainer, and then we'll put them back in the bowl and add a little bit more sugar to them. We're starting to get the color that you want to look for. So it's not burnt, but it's fairly dark. The darker they are without burning them, the crispier they will be, and they're just absolutely delicious. So I'll get these drained, I'll get the other batch in, and then I'll meet you back here to put the sugar on them. So to finish up these pecans, I'm going to just add a little bit of extra sugar to the ones that I've drained. And then I will mix them up. And then we'll just put them on a tray to cool completely. And once they are completely cool, they'll be very crispy, crunchy, and delicious. Thank you for joining me today. Here we have 5 easy make-ahead recipes that you can do for your Super Bowl party or a family game night or any occasion. We have a plate full of cheesy garlic cornbread, caramel popcorn. We have fried, sugared pecans, and our scrumptious chili. So anyway, I hope this helps you, gives you some ideas for your party. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Follow me through my homesteading adventure and my second year of gardening. I'm really excited about it and looking forward to it. Thank you.